What if the most painful betrayal you ever experienced came from someone who once shared your blanket? Someone who grew up beside you, laughed with you, cried with you, and then one day, turned cold? We talk a lot about enemies, toxic partners, and fake friends. But few things leave a scar like betrayal from a sibling. Because family isn't just blood, it's supposed to be a bond. But sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who teach us that loyalty isn't guaranteed. This isn't a story about bitterness, it's a lesson in self-preservation. Because as Stoics, we don't waste time on illusions. We face truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. So in this video, I'll walk you through 7 sibling betrayals that no Stoic should ever tolerate. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Betrayal 1. When they compete instead of support. You were born into the same house, ate from the same table, slept under the same roof, and for a while, it felt like you had a teammate for life. But somewhere between childhood and adulthood, things shifted. Your victories started sounding like threats to them. Your growth, instead of being celebrated, became something they resented. You didn't ask to be in a competition, but they made everything a race. A silent rivalry you never signed up for. You graduate college, land a good job, get a little ahead, and instead of hearing "I'm proud of you," you hear, "Must be nice." That's not support. That's envy in disguise. It's the kind of betrayal that's hard to point at, because it hides behind jokes, sarcasm, and passive-aggressive smiles. It's the silence when you expected applause, the subtle jabs at your ambition, the compliments that feel more like criticism. And as a man, this cuts deep. Not because you need their validation, but because you thought they had your back. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect." And here's the truth. Shrinking yourself to make your sibling feel comfortable is not humility. It's self-betrayal. You weren't put on this earth to dim your light so someone else could feel less insecure. A sibling who constantly competes with you is not a brother. They're a rival in disguise. And you owe no apologies for your rise. Your growth is not arrogance. Your success is not a crime. Be proud, stand tall, and let them deal with their own shadows. Betrayal 2. When they gaslight the past. Some siblings rewrite history, not with malice but with manipulation. They bring up your past mistakes even when you've outgrown them. They downplay your trauma, saying, "It wasn't that bad." They act like the hurt they caused you is just a joke you should laugh at now. But Stoicism teaches us clarity, and clarity means calling things what they are. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." But when someone constantly distorts your reality, that suffering becomes real. If they make you doubt your own memories, your pain, your experience, that's betrayal. You don't owe anyone the right to rewrite your truth. Betrayal 3. When they disappear during your struggles. When everything's going right, when your paycheck's flowing, your smile is wide, and the world claps for your success, it's easy for people to stand beside you, siblings included. They'll be there to toast your wins, post about you on social media, and ride the high with you. But that's not the real test. The real test is when your world starts to collapse. When you're staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering how you're going to pay rent. When you bury a parent and feel like you've lost your anchor. When your soul is heavy and all you needed was a call, a presence, a simple, "I'm here." But they vanish. No text, no visit, just silence. That's when it hits you. Some people only know how to love you when you're convenient. Marcus Aurelius said it best. Misfortune is virtue's opportunity. And it's not just your virtue being tested in hardship, it's theirs too. Pain strips away the performance. It shows you who's real. A sibling who's only present during celebration but silent during your suffering isn't blood. They're background noise. They don't want you, they want your glow. And when that glow fades, so do they. That's not family, that's a seasonal visitor. The truth is, storms are sacred because they expose what the sunshine hides. And as a man, you deserve loyalty. Forged in fire, not the kind that melts under pressure. Real family, chosen or blood, shows up uninvited when you're bleeding. They sit with you in the silence. They don't need a reason, and they don't need the spotlight. So when your sibling disappears in your darkest hours, take it as a gift, not of betrayal, but of clarity. Because absence is an answer. And brother, you need warriors beside you, not shadows. Betrayal 4. When they weaponize the word family. You can't cut me off, I'm family. You've heard it before. Maybe you felt it like a noose tightening around your neck. That line, uttered with smug entitlement, is a tool designed to trap you in a prison of obligation and silence. It's a betrayal dressed up in familiarity, the oldest, most painful kind. When a sibling weaponizes family, they turn the bond that should protect into a leash that controls. They ignore your boundaries, consume your time, and use guilt like a hammer, knocking down your defenses while shouting, "But we're family," as if that alone cancels out every wrong, every wound, every disrespect. This is not love. It's entitlement. It's the dangerous illusion that shared blood automatically grants access to your life and your peace, no matter the cost. We all know the scenario. Someone constantly shows up uninvited, demands your attention when you're busy, or makes you feel bad for wanting distance. They wear the family card like armor, hiding behind it whenever they face consequences for their behavior. It's manipulation wrapped in nostalgia, a weapon disguised as loyalty. The Stoics knew better. Seneca reminded us, a man is no less a stranger because he shares your blood. Family ties don't erase personal responsibility or respect. Being related doesn't grant a free pass to poison your mind or invade your peace. You are not bound to tolerate mistreatment or sacrifice your sanity to maintain a family image. True strength is in choosing your peace every single day. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself, not an open invitation for continued abuse. You decide who stays close, not the entitled voices dragging you down. Blood is just biology. What matters is loyalty, respect, and the boundaries you fiercely protect. Never confuse family with permission to harm your soul. Betrayal 5. When they expose your vulnerabilities. You trusted them. You told them things you've never said out loud, and one day, they used it against you. Whether it was gossip, betrayal of confidence, or sharing your secrets to gain favor. They broke a sacred bond. Epictetus warned, if you want to keep a secret, don't tell anyone. But if you must, tell only someone whose silence is worth more than gold. A sibling who weaponizes your wounds isn't just disloyal, they're dangerous. The lesson here isn't to shut down, it's to choose better. Not all who grow up with you grow with you, and some outgrow the right to your trust. Betrayal 6. When they refuse accountability again and again. Every man knows the sting of betrayal, especially when it comes from blood. But there's a unique kind of poison that runs through the veins of betrayal when a sibling refuses to take responsibility for their actions. Everyone makes mistakes. That's part of being human. What tears at your soul, though, is when the same person keeps crossing the line, and instead of owning their fault, they twist the knife deeper by blaming you. This isn't just carelessness. It's a pattern. a conscious refusal to admit they were wrong, no matter how clearly you've been hurt. You hear the familiar gaslights. You're too sensitive. It was just a joke. Stop living in the past. These words aren't apologies. They're shields. They're deflections designed to protect their ego while leaving you wounded and questioning your own reality. You start doubting your feelings, your memories, even your worth. But let me tell you this, there is no nobility in someone who never says, "I was wrong." There is no growth in someone who never utters, "I'm sorry." This is betrayal's silent war. It's not just the hurt they cause, but the refusal to even acknowledge it. And that silence speaks louder than any shout. The Stoic man does not waste his fire on futile battles. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher who faced betrayal and deceit from those closest to him, gave us the answer. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. This isn't weakness, it's power. Power over your own reaction, over your own peace. You don't have to argue. You don't have to break yourself trying to fix a broken mirror. You observe. You accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. You recognize when a man refuses to look inward, and you stop expecting depth from shallow waters. That distance you place between yourself and that toxicity. It's not cruelty, it's wisdom. It's the armor that keeps your soul intact. Because sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is walk away, not in defeat, but in victory. Betrayal. 7. When they expect you to carry the emotional load. You've been the rock in the storm, the calm in their chaos. The one who steps up, smooths things over, and sacrifices your own peace just to keep the family from cracking apart. You're the peacekeeper, the forgiver, the emotional anchor everyone leans on. But here's the hard truth. Emotional labor has a cost, and you've been paying that price far too long, often silently, often alone. Imagine carrying a heavy pack every day, except it's invisible, made of resentment, exhaustion, and guilt. Your siblings come to you when their world shakes, dumping their fears, their anger, their confusion. But when your own world crumbles, they vanish. They don't show up. And yet somehow you're the one who ends up feeling guilty for not giving. More time, more energy, more forgiveness. This isn't loyalty. It's emotional exploitation disguised as family duty. The Stoics teach us balance, not martyrdom. Seneca reminds us, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." You are not here to parent your siblings' emotional storms. You are here to master your own. Your strength isn't measured by how much chaos you absorb, but by how firmly you stand when the storm rages. Let go of the guilt. Release the weight you never asked to carry. Freedom starts when you refuse to be the emotional garbage dump and start defending your peace like the warrior you are. Conclusion. So what do you do when the wound comes from the person who once shared your crib? You stop pretending it didn't hurt. You stop justifying their patterns. You stop sacrificing your peace on the altar of family obligation. Stoicism is not about shutting off your heart. It's about protecting it, with reason, with clarity, with strength. You don't need revenge. You don't need drama. You just need the courage to say, "This is no longer good for my soul," and walk away with grace. Because healing doesn't always come from fixing the relationship. Sometimes it comes from choosing yourself.